Okay, today we're going to talk about how to get out of bed in the morning with lower back pain, sciatica, herniated discs. This is a rough time for anyone that has this type of condition. When you get up in the morning and you have an episode of pain or sciatica, the morning is incredibly rough. And there's a few reasons why that's true. When you're in one position for a while and move, whether it be sitting or standing, getting out of that position will cause stiffness and pain when you're recovering from an injury. We don't always think about this, but lying down all night for 6 to 8 hours you're in one position for a very long period of time. So when you get up, sit up, all of a sudden you're loading your trunk is going through your lower back and loading your lower back and discs and everything else. It all of a sudden puts a lot of pressure on those structures. So let's talk about the disc a little bit. So we have a lumbar spine here. This is the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar. Okay, and the very bottom is this triangular bone called the sacrum. You can kind of see it from the back here. This is the sacrum. These are the lower back discs. So these discs right here, which are one of the causes of back pain and sciatica, whether it be bulging or herniation, they're a source of pain. So let's talk about the ones that are most commonly affected. Right here, this is the L4 vertebrae, L5 vertebrae. How we name the discs in the lower back is we call this the L4, L5 vertebrae, disc. And then we have the L5S1 disc. So this disc right here is L5S1, L4, L5. Those ones that are most commonly are pain generators. They actually are causing problems. They take a lot of pressure when you flex forward or lean back. They're kind of like the front wheels of your car. They take the most wear and tear. So anyway, these are the ones that we'll often see these bulges and herniations that are actually giving us some trouble. So assuming that we're talking about a disc issue, the idea behind why the first 1 or 2 hours in the morning are so rough for patients with these types of conditions is basically they're lying all night, and the disc essentially, since we don't have the weight, we don't have the trunk weight going through the spine, we don't have from here up pushing down through the spine. As we're there all day, the disc is at a certain height. At night, the feeling is that as we're lying down, you get a little expansion of the disc. The disc actually, they call it imbibe, it's just a fancy word. It takes in fluid and water. So the disc actually, let's say it's this high at night, it actually expands and gets a little taller. The problem is when it takes in all that water, that puts a lot of pressure on the disc. And the disc has any kind of tear or bulge and such, it's not as stable. It has a harder time dealing with that extra pressure. So the first time we wake up, we've got more volume in that disc. So let's say the disc during the day is about this high, okay, before we go to bed. This is the inside of the disc called the nucleus pulposus. This is the outer portion of the disc called the annular rings. This inner one right there is kind of like the jelly donut of the disc. In cases of herniation, just to talk about it quickly, it can shift to either direction. Sometimes it'll actually cause a bit of disc to come off of it, and it may hit a nerve root that comes down off your lower spine. As we wake up in the morning, this same area, let's call this the L4, L5 disc, right here. That one actually, in the morning, is actually a little taller. It's got a little bit greater height than the one at night. So therefore we're taller in the morning, but also we have more pressure in those disc segments. If the disc is injured, as soon as you put weight on it, you've got this extra volume in there, and this new inner material up there, in theory, there's more pressure on it, and that's why getting up is so hard in the morning. And after about 1 or 2 hours, it slowly settles in, and it's probably closer to this height as far as the disc height in the same disc segment. So we're talking the same one, but they vary in height depending on what time of day that you're looking at it. So anyway, first 1 to 2 hours, people say, Tom, it's so hard in the morning. I have to be so careful. It's hard to put on my shoes. It's hard to lean forward and brush my teeth. Going to the bathroom is a bear. And those are the times you want to be the most careful. So how can we make that time in the morning a little easier? And let me just talk about this. So getting up out of bed, how can we make it a little bit better? Well, we want to try and avoid in the morning a lot of bend and rotation. Okay, so basically we want to avoid really flexing the spine and rotating the spine. Typically those two movements are really stressful to the disc, especially the disc that's not injured. They're just in a weaker position when you put your body forward and turn. It actually twists and flexes the disc, and that is typically a little harder. In fact, a lot of people will say, I didn't pick up anything heavy, I went forward and I turned. So that's the position we want to avoid. We want to have the spine stay relatively fixed. We want the hips below our spine here and our trunk right here to kind of move as one unit. So let me show you 2 ways you can do that, all right? Make a lot of noise here. Okay, so the first one we'll have people do is just do a log roll, okay? I prefer to have the legs a little bit bent like so. It puts a little less pressure in the lower back. We're going to essentially get to the very edge of the bed, or close to it, and we're going to log roll as a unit. So we're trying to keep the hips move with the back, so there's less twisting through the spine. We want to get our legs out a little bit, and then place our hand down and push up like that. So we're trying to limit the amount of twisting and keep this in one position. It's not going to make it perfect, but it should lessen the amount of pressure or pain you have when you get up. So lessen that twisting. So that's if you're lying on your back. Let's say that doesn't work for you. There's another position that often will help is actually log rolling, but getting yourself in a prone position or on your stomach, okay? Depending on the person, the type of back problem, they may actually feel comfortable for a couple moments before they get up, lying like so, and then scooting to the edge of the bed, kind of propping yourself up on the elbow so we're getting a little bit of that natural arch. Not excessive, just a little bit. As we do that, we're going to drop our leg down and slowly push our legs, let our other leg go down and slowly push up off the bed. So we're getting into this more upright position, okay? So all we're trying to do is, as you transition, is just not to twist it and rotate it. There's going to be some twisting that you can't avoid, but it should make those early 1 or 2 hours a little bit more comfortable. So 2 tips, log roll from lying on your back, make sure your knees are a little bit bent. Or you can do the version where you're lying on your stomach, you prop up on your elbows, even extend a little bit, and then drop your legs off and try and go into standing immediately. So I hope this helps you out to make the morning a little bit more tolerable. Share this with someone if you feel like it was helpful, or comment on it if you have any questions about it. All right, have a great day.